Thanks for tuning in to Pro Life Nova Scotia. My name is John Michael. I just want to express from the deepest parts of my sincere heart that I am so very sorry for the tremendous disservice that my family has bestowed upon the community. And I know that I started saying this and I went on a tangent and I go over here. I just really want to focus this video on how great of a disservice that my aunt, or cousin, or sister, whatever you want to call her, my own member of my family, Dr. Michelle Dow, has done. What did she do? First of all, what did she do? Well, she's prescribing birth control pills to these sometimes underage girls, right? And don't know any better. Don't know what. Don't know that, well, what are you talking about? Birth control pills prevents pregnancy. No, it doesn't. It does not. It does not. So let's look at what a birth control pill does. It prevents ovulation 50% of the time. It suppresses ovulation about, it says 50% of the time in their own DNA. What about the next? The other times? Well, it will alter the endometrium. Altering the endometrium. So what does altering the endometrium means? That means that the baby will be successfully conceived. There's a pregnancy. There's a baby. The baby boy or baby girl will be conceived. There's a very valuable embryo, the most valuable, most precious asset in the world, right? There is no great, from the top of the mountain to the deepest trench, there is no more valuable asset than the human embryo. And because of these abortifacient birth control pills, the baby is lost. And that is the disservice, the immense, unimaginable, inconceivable crime that Dr. Michelle Dow has done. And what is going on here with these people that say, oh, she's a pillar of a community, thank you so much for helping us when blah 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 blah. Well, you know, she's not helping. This is not helping. This is hurting. This is the greatest crime imaginable. Everything that she has done, oh, she's done so much for her no, she didn't. No, she didn't. You know, maybe she fixed a few boo-boos here and there, but what she really did, and if you get down to the bottom of actually what her whole career was all about, is mass murder. It's mass murder. Well, murder is not, it's not in the Canadian law and all this stuff. That is true. The Canadian law does not agree with medical science. Medical science is clear. The baby is 100%. There's a new set of DNA. What will the DNA give you? Well, the gender, the eye color, the hair color, right? The design of the heart, the design of the brain. It is, again, the most valuable, most precious resource on the earth. From the top of the mountain to the deepest trench in the ocean, there's no more value than the human embryo. And that's what people fail to understand. Anyways, if you want to debate that, you will fail. But so what? So what, right? The implantation is the starting of a pregnancy. No, it's not. But she will lie and say that. Why? To be able to sell birth control pills. So who is the customer, right? These teenage girls and everything like that, right? So these teenage girls buying these, or getting the dad to pay for the death of their own grandchildren, right? The dad. Let's say, for example, you as a father. Let's say, for example, your daughter. My daughter is pretty soon going to be of the age of, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. And I will never for a microsecond even imagine buying abortifacient birth control pills, right? So why? Because I mean, it would kill my grandchild, right? So that's the point where I don't know if you could hear what I was saying, but the responsibility of the dad is to protect his children and his grandchildren, right? So let's say for me, I'm a dad, right? I want some grandchildren. I don't want my daughter to just put her on the pill and send her off to college. That's the worst thing that a father could do to his daughter, right? So basically, you know what? Why? So she can enjoy debauchery and have multiple boyfriends and go around with Chad and Tyrone. How about this? How about you keep your knickers on? Oh, that's, people don't do that anymore. Yes, they do. I mean, that's the most important, most precious, most valuable thing that the husband and wife can. The husband can also have no types of other girlfriends, and they are both saving that special moment for the wedding night, right? The wedding night is extremely valuable and precious, and it happened so many times in history because people were to protect that important moment. And so what I'm saying, let's go back, because I'm going on a tangent. I'm going on a tangent because there's so much to talk about because of this stupid crime here. This is a crime beyond words. What is the crime? Murder, mass murder. The greatest imaginable crime in the history of humanity is right here. Why? Because there's so many. There's so many babies. There's so many souls. The potential. Not only, see, the thing is about, okay, so for example, like say maid, right? Maid, medical assistance in dying. Let's just go there for just a brief moment, okay? So medical assistance in dying. Okay, well, blah, blah, blah. By the way, why don't they use an anesthesiologist for that? Did anybody ever think about that? Why are you not using an anesthesiologist? Well, the anesthesiologist wouldn't agree. Probably because it's dodgy anyway. But let's say, for example, a maid, okay? Well, that person will not continue to have grandchildren or whatever. They're old and sick or whatever. Okay, well, whatever. This embryo, right, has the potential to have children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and has the potential to be an ancestor. So that's why it's so important. That's why what I'm talking about is true and it's important. And that's why the Canadian justice system is deaf and dumb. Deaf and dumb. That's what they are. They're complicit in the crime, right? For example, let's say, for example, I was an honorable learned judge. Okay, let's just put that for a minute. Okay, let's play pretend. Let's say, for example, I was an honorable learned judge, and I would have this action in front of me. It says, I'm not looking for criminal indictments because I know I'm not going to get any because, I mean, you indicting the crime of murder. And I'm not going to get class action certified because, I mean, who's going to do that? The only thing I'm looking for is a declaratory relief, for, the declaratory judgment from the court to affirm that the actions of the defendant, which is Dr. Michel Dow, in prescribing the medication, without informed consent, led to the loss of life and violated ethical legal standards. That is fair, and that is true. I mean, there's nobody that's going to argue against that fact, but the problem is that the court is deaf and dumb. They're going to either pretend they didn't hear that, or they're just going to go with the, well, you know, that is true, and we agree. I mean, nobody can disagree. It's just that we can't issue a declaratory relief, declaratory judgment. So basically, I'm not trying to get money out of it. I'm not trying to put her in the prison where she belongs, because I certainly have lost. And there's a wrongful death here, and there's certainly, you know, wrongful death that would be, you know, grounds for a civil case. I mean, I don't really care about that. I don't really care about the money. I don't really care about putting her in the prison because, I mean, she's obviously a very dangerous woman. I mean, we should be protecting our society. It's a very dangerous woman, extremely dangerous and, lunatic, or, you know, whatever you want to call her. She's lunatic is a very, very fair description for Dr. Michel Dow here, which is a member of my family. Can you imagine here? And I know I'm talking about myself, but I'll go back to the other thing in a minute. But my son was killed. I am missing a 10-year-old. I'm missing a 10-year-old. My son was killed by Dr. Michel Dow, which was the grandchild of our shared grandfather. How ridiculous is that? I'll say that again. Dr. Michel Dow killed my child. I am missing a 10-year-old. This 10-year-old child was literally her own family, which was the grandson of our shared grandfather, of our mutual ancestor. I don't know if I'm explaining it. I think I am. I think I'm explaining it correctly. The child was conceived, okay, naturally, okay, had intact DNA and was a living entity with infinite value, and the grief is compounded by the sense that the potential human life was unnecessarily lost due to Dr. Michel Dow's, trickery and deception, which involved actions which could be interpreted as medical negligence, misrepresentation, or failure to act in accordance with professional obligations. It's your obligation to explain that, there's going to be a pregnancy. There could be a pregnancy, and the likelihood of a pregnancy is high. I mean, if you're using birth control, that means you are engaging in either, premarital or extramarital, sexual intercourse or whatever it may the case may be. But there's the chance of that sperm meeting the egg. So the likelihood that there will be a successful, the conception is successful, the DNA is intact, and the will otherwise lead to a healthy baby boy or healthy baby girl crying, which will lead to an adult, which would lead to it could lead to that baby boy or baby girl growing up to be a grandfather or even great grandfather and an ancestor, right? So destroying embryos is a serious problem. Right, it's serious wrong. Abortion and birth control pills is the number one problem, right? The number one problem. And if you can't see that, well, you're not welcome here. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. And the door's over there. You just click the other button on the corner and look for another video. Because if you do not agree with me, you do not agree with your own self. You know that what I'm speaking is the truth. All right, so let's go back to what I was going to say. Your experience. If you have suffered, let's say, for example, you are a lady and you say, oh man, I was deceived by Dr. Michel Dow. Well, you know what I would do? I just confront her and say, why did you trick me? And, say that these birth control pills, prevent pregnancy by suppressing ovulation when they do not prevent pregnancy by suppressing ovulation. They don't. They don't at all. You told me that the birth control pill prevents pregnancy by suppressing ovulation, but it does not. It alters the endometrium and it causes the baby to die, right? So I would confront her. I mean, she deserves to be in prison, but I mean, the Canadian court system is disagreeing with truth, law, facts, and evidence. I mean, this is the law is thou shalt not kill. The truth is that the baby is conceived and the DNA is intact. The evidence is medical science, embryology being clear. And the facts of the case are that there's a baby that died, right? Truth, law, facts, and evidence are more important than some declaratory relief or, a civil, case would be, preferable where, there would be, people that have actually been prescribed and tricked by Dr. Michel Dow can receive a fair compensation, financial, damages, right? That could be paid out to the people that she tricked and deceived. That's the thing, right? She should be held to the highest standards, and she's basically being protected by the system. The system is not protecting us as the people, right? The system is protecting these doctors that are doing these horrible things. Isn't that kind of whack? Very, very whack. I thought it was whack when I first heard of that. And then I get the time to... I wrote a whole book about this, and the book is available, but I'm getting dreams, man. I'm getting dreams, right? I'm getting dreams, right? Because this is my own family, my own sister, my own cousin, right? Whatever you want to call her to me. We share the same grandfather, right? So it'd be like a first cousin or whatever. The points, the points. Okay. This DNA. Okay, so man, we're at 13 minutes or so. The informed consent, College of Physicians and Surgeons of Nova Scotia. I think we're all. I don't think I'm missing anything. I think if you can infer the other points, we're gonna go to the next video. Let's make it one more, and then after that, I think I'll be done.